This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about Iran. It seemed like we were on a glide path to peace, but then not so fast. We're joined by Seth Cropsey, who served as Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy, Acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict, and he recently founded the Yorktown Institute in 2022, and he's the Institute's president. We're also joined by Shay Khatiri, who's an immigrant from Iran, the Vice President of Development and Senior Fellow at Yorktown Institute. And they published a piece in the Wall Street Journal that I found just totally fascinating, which was talking about the current situation and focusing on the Strait of Hormuz, among other issues. But the Strait of Hormuz has always confounded me. The Strait of Hormuz, was the jugular vein. You knew that Iran had a knife right next to the jugular vein because the Strait of Hormuz is literally gets so narrow. You now have Iran saying they want to control the Strait of Hormuz afterwards and charge a toll, which as Seth and Shay point out, would be the first time since the maritime quasi-war with France in 1798, where America allowed a country to control international waters. But my question to Mr. Cropsey and Mr. Khatiri, how did the military not appreciate that you had this bottleneck? We hear about degrading everything Iran, how we degraded the army, degraded the navy, then degraded everything. But then with a little drone, a little cheap drone, you can take out a tanker or a battleship. Ukraine, we've been watching these drones, mines, which have been around since World War I. How did we miss it? How did we miss it, Seth?
That's an excellent question, Governor. We expected that, I believe that we expected that the military steps that we took from the very start, including I
think Seth froze.
And his henchmen would be enough to produce the strategic effect that we wanted. And after that, destroying launchers, missile sites, weapons manufacturers, and the long thousands of target lists would again produce basically a surrender. And that turned out not to be the case. And there may not have been a contingency plan for what to do if the Iranians still blocked or sought to block and blocked the strait. That we're unlikely to find out about immediately. But that is what the attempt is now. That's what the military is focusing on. That's where Central Command is paying attention. I saw recently, within the past hour, that the president has said that there will be a blockade. And it was not just a blockade of the Gulf, it was a blockade of all Iranian ports, which would be interesting to learn more facts about, since there are about as many Iranian ports as we have destroyers in the region.
Yeah, we're going to blockade their blockade. But Shay Khatiri, let me bring you into this. How did we miss that drones could do tremendous damage. And these drones are what? $20,000 a drone, thereabouts. You don't need a large launching site, etc. You see the damage that has happened with Ukraine and the effectiveness. How did we miss it?
Governor, there is a great military intellectual, retired general of the Australian Army, I admire, Mick Ryan, and I think he put it best, which is everyone saw what was happening in Ukraine over the past several years, but unfortunately the Pentagon, the military was just too arrogant to accept that we can learn lessons from the Ukrainians. They think that they're just much better than that, and that was unfortunate. They were asked by the civilian leadership in the Pentagon under the Biden administration and under the current administration to take this drone threat seriously, and they just didn't listen. And the civilian leadership was not strong enough to force their hands and allow them to do their own thing. And they wanted to be focused on shiny objects that are much more expensive, high-tech, rather than small things like counter-drone measures.
Yeah, because the defense industry wanted the big, expensive projects rather than dealing with what was the practical reality that these drones, which are relatively low cost, don't require any significant infrastructure, are devastatingly effective. And then that we don't have the expertise to detect and remove mines, and Iran isn't sure where they put the mines in the first place. I mean, the military has been so effective in so many ways. Venezuela saving the airmen. How did we miss this technology?
I don't think that we missed the mine clearing technology. It hasn't been there yet. That's what's being done right now. But the mine clearing technology is something that the Navy has worked on, and specifically with robotics and using electronic means, using what we can to avoid putting sailors in danger to locate and explode the mines. So it's not as though technology has lagged as seriously in the mine detection and removal category as Shay pointed out with drones. And by the way, it's from pillar to post on drones. I mean, the annual budget for the group that works on drones at the Pentagon was something in the neighborhood of $200 million up until the recent request to increase that to $50 billion. That's with a B, $50 billion.
Yes. And look,
and
go ahead, Shay, please.
Oh, sorry, if I may add to what Seth says, we have two destroyers, Arleigh Burke class destroyers in the region right now, and these have they have uncrewed underwater vessels and also surface vessels. These are sea drones as well as Seahawk helicopters. These systems have different sensors as well as using laser to find and detect mines and put the data in AI platforms to make sure which object is a mine and which one is not a mine. And then they deploy destructors, which are these objects sitting on a mine, overcharging them to blow them up and neutralize them. So we have these platforms. We just didn't start using them until yesterday.
Yeah. Well, back to the drones for a second. China, reports are that China and Russia are supplying Iran with drones. What is the cost of a drone? What is necessary to launch a drone? Again, we've heard so much about the destruction of their infrastructure, destruction of their military system. How much is a drone? How do you launch it? What's required? And how do you stop it?
Well, A drone can be anything from a small platform that's not much bigger than a tabletop to an unmanned drone that costs tens of millions of dollars, well over millions of dollars. So you have to have a more elaborate launch set for the more expensive drones, like the Reaper, and for the small ones that are not bigger than a tabletop or half a tabletop, you can just lift it up in the air, get it whirring, and let it go.
Governor, you can think of a drone as three parts. One is the objected drone itself, one is the operator, and the third one is the communication between the drone and the operator. If you take out one of those three, the drone becomes useless. And the U.S. military was trying to destroy Iran's drone depots so they could not swarm ships at the strait anymore, and also trying to find these operators to kill the operators as well as jamming the signals. But this will take time. Iran is a very big country. It would take months perhaps. And the president did not have the patience for months, so he had to shift strategy. But of course, again, we go back to the problem that there was an easier way of doing this, as we discussed, but the military was not interested in investing those ways.
Your piece in the Wall Street Journal concludes that if the president can't accomplish meaningful change here, the war should continue. You talk about regime change and securing their nuclear capacity.
Yes, because, Iran is such a small state, and just imagine being China right now and thinking that the United States cannot even defeat Iran in the Strait of Hormuz militarily, and they're conceding to Iran in the strait on the nuclear level and so on. And if they cannot defeat Iran, they are not that scary to us anymore. So we are going to make any move to enforce deterrence against China. We have to prove to the Chinese that we can defeat Iran. And if you can make them concede to our demands at the diplomatic table, that's great. But if we cannot, we have to prove to the world, especially to our enemies, that we can accomplish this militarily.
Another way of putting this is that if we cannot make the proof that Shay just mentioned, the chances for conflict in the West Pacific go up significantly.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I don't think there's any way the president can claim success at the negotiating table, leaving the Strait of Hormuz in the control of Iran, with a big toll gate at the strait, with a massive easy pass system that Iran operates millions of dollars to move a tanker. And you have nothing if you haven't stopped their nuclear capacity. So we have a long way to go, because the Iran news says those are their two problems. They want control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they're not giving up their nuclear program. So easier said than done. Easier said than done. And with this entire situation, it's the old expression, don't start something until you know how to finish it. Seth Cropsey, Shay Khatiri, thank you very much. Great piece in the Wall Street Journal. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Governor.
Thanks. We'll take a break, but don't go away.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.